Everyone, it's so great to have you back with us for our third The Beauty Triangle webinar. I hope that you're all very well and that you're learning how to embrace our new normal. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name's Francesca White and I'm the founder and curator of The Beauty Triangle. So just to remind you before we get going, you are muted and invisible. However, we would love you to ask questions as we go along. So if anything crops up to you whilst we're chatting, just pop it in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen and we'll do our very best to answer everything before we finish. So a quick recap for any newcomers. The Beauty Triangle was started as a way to educate and empower audiences on all aspects of their health and well-being, but also to demystify modern aesthetic procedures and to put genuine information from genuine practitioners out there. So normally we hold monthly events, but we've obviously swapped to webinars for now, where we discuss a different topic, and always with a rotating panel of 3 practitioners who we refer to as our Beauty Triangle. The idea is to inspire you, but also to enable you to be back in control of your well-being. And then if you can tune in from home with a nice glass of wine, then even better. Anyway, tonight we are joined by the most fantastic panel of speakers, including Chanel makeup artist Kay Montano, aesthetic doctor and surgeon Dr Jacqueline Lewis, and John Frieda's creative director Zoe Irwin. And as our lives become increasingly virtual and we spend more and more time looking at ourselves through the lens of our webcam, they will all be here to share their insider tips on how we can look good from the waist up. So obviously with all this technology comes an undeniable shift in how we do view ourselves. And whilst it's very easy to label that as trivial or superficial, I think we need to be very aware that living in an era of social media means that how we perceive ourselves physically can have a huge effect on our emotional behaviour. So taking the steps to feel more confident on camera and discovering the simple tricks that will make our grooming regimes feel effortless might just help us. So Kay's going to be talking to us about her experience making up faces on the red carpet. Zoe's going to be talking about the kind of simple, speedy ways that we can get our hair camera ready, and Jackie is going to be telling us how we can supercharge our skin virtually. Needless to say, I'll be taking notes on all of this because this is very much overdue. I'm going to hand over to our lovely ladies now to say a very quick hello, and then we will crack on with the questions. So maybe Kay, you want to start by just a quick hello and what it is that you've been up to, what you're doing.
Well, hi everybody. So glad that you could all join us. This is great fun. I'm just back from holiday, so I haven't been very busy. So that's been lovely. Yes, just happy to share any answers, questions, chat about how to look good here. We've been having a giggle because the sun keeps coming in and out, and we're supposed to be experts, but then I'm not God, so I haven't got his number, so he couldn't sort out my lighting out there. But we'll go into that more later.
I actually love your lighting, Kay. It almost looks like you're still in Ibiza with that gorgeous sort of red background in the sun. Amazing. Jackie, hello.
Well, hi everyone. I was having a giggle before we came on live because Kay was there putting on her makeup at the last minute. And of course, she's got all these Chanel products, and I'm thinking, do you know what? We should have let you join in on the beginning because it was so much fun.
Good idea.
Thanks for being with us. So Jackie's our aesthetic doctor and surgeon, and you'll be hearing a lot more from her later. And then hi Zoe as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Zoe and I have lots of different roles in the industry. I work with GHD as an ambassador and for Wella as well as a colour trend expert. So I kind of specialise on what colours we will be wearing in the next few years. And so at the moment I'm been very involved in some trend projects and just using this time that we had off, I think, to try and get a little bit more confident myself, because I realised that how we started to work every day was in this way. So it's been a learning curve for all of us, and thank you for asking me on here to share some of the things I've learned during that time.
Not at all. I'm really excited to hear, about all the journeys that you've been on over lockdown. I think it's been such an interesting shift for all of us. Just a reminder to everyone who's watching, any questions for any of our ladies, please just pop them in the Q&A box and we'll get to those at the end. But firstly, Kay, then, so you have been responsible for making up some of the most famous faces in the world. I think your clientele includes Tandy Newton, Zoe Kravitz, Cara Delevingne. But what are the things we need to be mindful of, I suppose, when we're applying makeup for everyday life versus the camera?
Well, I think everyday life is very different from being on here. And if we're talking about, I know this is all about sort of from the waist up, and this is about, this is about how we appear on Zoom, because this is how we've been being public recently, because of course, only recently have we been able to see people in real life, because it's actually been, on here, which in many ways, this is how people are these days. I mean, there's many people in the world now who are millennials, who they spend their whole time here, and many people have whole industries having never they're never actually social in real life. They've become influencers with millions of followers purely because of this. Therefore, there's a huge currency of this almost dystopian, in a way, idea of yourself. It's not really yourself, it's somebody else. So, being that what it is, and you can explore that theme of, how existential and how strange that is, or you can do what I do, which is, I've always separated the idea of the self from how, from how you appear. The self is just your exterior. So I'm okay with the fact that I'm a makeup artist, but I'm also quite sort of a deep thinker. So I'm okay about the fact that this is my vessel. I can do the best of it, make the best of it. You can make the best of it, but this is not who we are. Because if you believe this is who you are, then you're setting yourself up, because, the currency of what you look like is just, it's fleeting. You're young for a short period of time. There's only so much you can do. So you can't put all your eggs in this one basket of this is all that matters. But you can make the best of yourself, because all species do it. Making the best of yourself is about a healthy self-esteem as well. It reflects how you feel. I tend to wear more makeup and dress up more when I'm happy. When I'm feeling insecure,
that's so true.
It's not, makeup is to me is not related to being insecure or trying to find a mate or anything like that, because I only feel like having a mate or feeling gorgeous when I feel great inside. Otherwise I'd stay in with Netflix. Bag coming out, you know what I mean? So it's the heels and the tight dresses, they come out when I feel good. They don't make me feel good.
Of course. But what about, when you know that you're going to be on camera, are there certain things, I mean, for example, like in the day-to-day, I don't wear eye makeup, but then I'm looking at myself more and more on Zoom and I'm like, maybe I should be wearing some, like maybe there's something about the camera that means we need to be accentuating our features.
Yes, well, I think the mirror that you see in real life this is the mirror now. This lens is a mirror. So the beauty of, like, on a very practical level, going, not going on my usual tangent of like depth, so like go down, if you've got a few days to listen to me. This becomes a mirror. So say like this lovely Chanel compact, you're looking at it, in real life like this, but the lens is now your mirror. So the beauty of that is we now have these wonderful things called iPhones. So take a selfie. This is how you can check your light. Now, lighting is more important than makeup. I can, my whole life, my whole sort of economical structure is based around makeup. So for me to say lighting is more important than makeup is saying something.
Do you know what? I think everyone here would agree with you. I mean, I bought a ring light specifically for this webinar because I knew I'd be the only person without one otherwise.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I've got my lighting here, but because I've got the sunlight outside, I don't know what it's looking like. But the thing is, you could have the most beautiful lighting in the entire world. But unfortunately, once you're past sort of 18, 20, side light is too vicious. You can only light objects with side light. And I have all these kind of funny dynamics with people when I'm at work. All of the actors say to me, what's the lighting like, Kay? Because basically I'm the lighting Nazi. I go into the room full of all these blokey gaffers who've like lit it, you know what I mean? And excuse me, you can't light her like that. And they go, when they look at me like, who do you think you are? But basically you have to have your light above your eye. And I wish you guys could see where I've got my actual laptop. You can, the reason why most people, when they're doing Zoom calls, the number one mistake people make is the laptop is actually down on the table. And then basically people are photographing their neck. And so everyone looks like they're about 10 pounds heavier.
Agreed. And that's the thing, it's not just about the lighting, is it? It's the angles as well. And I think we've all sort of got to learn what what our selfie angle is. We can all get like the cheekbones and the contour and stuff, but I, for one, don't know what my webcam angle is. I think you've just said exactly it. Like, it's the angle of the laptop, isn't it?
Absolutely. So there's that. So, you know, it makes a huge difference. And if somebody said to me, you know, I could have the best lighting, I mean, best makeup in the world, but if the laptop is down here and I've got side lighting, forget about it.
Yeah, agreed. But Kay, you've been doing loads of Instagram lives and webinars and whatnot since lockdown, and you always look, I mean, you do now, even though I saw you doing your makeup like 2 seconds ago, you look so glowy and radiant. And I don't think it's all lighting. So what are the tips that, you know, when we're sort of about to get on camera, that will give us that really glowy, sort of nice, flawless base?
Well, because I've learned from having bad pictures taken on the red carpet, because basically since I've been doing red carpet makeup, it's not like this wonderful controlled studio situation where you've got the likes of Patrick Marchelier and his team doing incredible lighting. So basically, you know, those girls are lit incredibly, and even bad makeup looks great in that light. But when photographs, actresses are being photographed by paparazzi on the red carpet, you really have to be careful when it comes to shine and things like that. So the rule of thumb is I always powder the T-zone. So the T-zone being this bit here and this bit here. Powder
with like a pressed powder, or what are you using?
I prefer loose powder because loose powder is finer. Pressed powder is fine on the go, and it is getting better. Pressed powder is getting better, but the very fact that it has to be compacted means that it's more chalky, it's more dense. On the whole, though there are, you know, there are certain powders, but on the whole it's loose powder. And basically the rule of thumb is that anything which is matte tends to go recess, and anything that's shiny tends to pop out. So with that in mind, the areas that most of us want to pop out are our cheekbones. We all want bigger cheekbones. We don't want big jowls, preferably. We don't want a greasy chin sticking out here. Our forehead doesn't want to stick out. So basically by powdering the T-zone and highlighting this bit here, I've got moisturized cheek. I put sort of a greasy moisturizer just before I came on. I put my, I've got this lovely creamy waxy moisturizer, which I just pump on here after the blusher, things like that.
It's really nice. So like skincare as makeup almost, just to give you that sort of lovely juicy glow.
Absolutely. And Chanel did this lovely new water-based tint, which is great, which I'm probably using wrong, but I'm very, you know, I always bend the rules. So I'm always using this. It's a water-based tint, and it's part of the Le Beige range, and it's like number 60. It's probably. It's not like, because I'm using an amazing one by Chanel, which I think has just come out, the illuminating fluid. It's not that, is it? No, it's not that one, because I would only use illuminating fluid here. I wouldn't use illuminating fluid all over the face.
Oh, you see, I'm doing it all wrong. I put it everywhere because I just it makes me feel like I've just had a facial. I feel so glowy afterwards.
Even if you see yourself on camera, and especially with light, what you're going to get is flare here. You can get flare in all the wrong places. So, you know, I think it's just things like that. So for the camera, I would say T-zone, matte, little moisturizer here, and also you can cheat a bit because this isn't real life, so you can kind of do the tweaks that we use professionally. You can almost apply makeup more like a makeup artist applies it for a celebrity or for a model on camera. You know, you things like a lip liner. You know, one of my favorite lip liners is actually, where is it? It's this Makeup Forever one. I can't find the lid because I was just putting on my makeup on too quickly before we started. And it's Makeup Forever, and it's what's the color here? It is called, I think it's a nude one. Oh, I can't find it.
Probably used it too many times. It's all rubbed off now.
Too many times. Oh, it's called Caffeine.
Caffeine?
Anyway, it's basically exactly the same color as your lips, my lips, but a bit darker.
Oh, amazing. And so it just gives you the shape without feeling like you've got, because lipstick is the thing that I would wear every day. Literally, I wouldn't leave the house without even to go to the gym, which is ridiculous. But it does feel a bit too much sometimes for the camera and for an online Zoom meeting.
I think for you, I think it's different for everybody, because I love your look. I love the fact that you don't have eye makeup and you've just got lipstick on. That was really, really big in the 80s. I remember you'd get women who'd, you know, just wear lipstick and it suited them, but it wouldn't look right for me. I'm better with eyes and not too much lips. I'm better with just my lips shaped.
Yeah, it's about knowing, sort of working with the individual face a bit more.
Absolutely.
And on that note, I mean, what about individual skin tones? I mean, are there things that somebody like myself with Caucasian skin needs to be mindful of versus somebody with black skin? You know, the way that the skin tone can react on camera, for example?
I think it's less complicated when you're Caucasian, because you don't have to worry about the contrast of light and shade and shine and matte. Whereas the darker your skin goes, there's more contrast. So if you're shiny, if you're black, it goes really, really black and really, really shiny. So if you're fair, you can get away with actually more shine. So you have to be more careful with with shine and gloss when you're dark skinned, because it will come out. It's just too contrasty.
And I was reading recently that sales in, I think it's lipstick, have dropped, but lash products and brow products have absolutely boomed. So I guess what's your sort of thoughts on that? Do you think that's the next trend that we're going to see, you know, because that's something that's so visible on the camera?
Well, I think that's all because of technology. Technology has got so much better. I mean, for instance, I'm a huge fan of Rapid Lash. Rapid Lash it works, and basically that's the stuff you get from Boots. It's the most shoplifted item at Boots apparently, because it works, and it's £40. It works.
Jackie's like, I need some.
Eyelashes
I have it.
3 millimeters longer than they are naturally, and everyone I've told about it, told about Rapid Lash, they've all grown their lashes. It's absolutely brilliant. So I think that's a technology-led trend, in the sense technology made our eyelashes better. Everyone's always wanted long eyelashes. I don't think 10 years ago it was like, no, I prefer them short, thanks. No, everyone's always wanted them long. They just brought things out in the market, and obviously big brows was a fashion trend. You know,
and they've got the rapid brow as well, which I've seen the most phenomenal results from friends who had overplucked their eyebrows, you know, basically nothing less than, and you know, it's like a clear mascara, isn't it? It goes on, and amazing eyebrows.
I use that too, because in the 90s I overplucked. So, you know,
me too.
Overplucking, they never stop growing here, do they? But they always stop. They always stop.
I know.
Thanks,
I know.
Yeah.
What about like in terms of makeup? Because I think, you know, on camera, really good brows can make all the difference again, can't they? You know, makeup artists always talk about how the brows frame the face. What can we do at home to give that illusion?
Well, I like, if you, for instance, like you just said, rapid brow. If you've got any sort of sparse areas that need working on, you can do that. But on a cosmetic level, you find a great pencil. Most pencils, unfortunately, on the market are too brown. That's my criticism of what
too brown.
They're always too red, because what they don't take into consideration when they're making an eyebrow product is that you mix. Being an artist, I know this but only because of trial and error. If you mix a brown with the brown warmth of your skin, it's going to make it more brown. So you have to take the warmth away. You have to have a brown which is more olive, which is more green, which is more grey. Your color, the color of your skin, and how dark you want it. Because by the time it goes onto your skin, which is warmer, it goes, you know, and this is the same across the board, whether you're really fair or really dark. It's very hard to get eyebrow pencils. Which
ones do you rate? I mean, I love a brow pencil. I mean, I've tried the Glossier Boy Brow is my recent obsession, because it's more of like a pomade, and it sort of grooms them at the same time. But have you got any tips for good eyebrow pencils?
Fair brows, I like the Eyelure one from Boots. There's an Eyelure pencil. It's very inexpensive, and it's called Blonde. I use that on Julianne Moore. I use it on blonder redhead clients, because it just doesn't go red and pink on the skin. So that's for fair skin. Then Chanel do a really, really good one. They've got all the boy brows, actually. They've got a boy range, which has got some really great ones. Have you seen it? For guys?
No, I don't. I need to find that.
Yeah, they've got, but also even for women, or, you know, whatever you want, however you define yourself, and you have to be careful these days. Their eyebrow products are much more on the grey side. So there is actually a wonderful pencil from them, which is hard, and it also needs to be hard, because if they're too soft, they go on too hard, and then you get that dense, solid brow.
Exactly. I love one with the very fine sort of points, so that I can almost draw them on.
Exactly. So you want a wide, soft brow, not a hard, thin brow.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because I think, you know, with more of us going out probably wearing face masks and hiding the bottom half of our face, it probably will all end up being about the brows and the lashes going forwards.
That's true, actually.
I mean, as a makeup artist, your currency is very much in transforming sort of how people look, and I suppose giving them that that sort of grand reveal. So, you know, with us being online so much more, and, you know, on Zoom calls and whatnot, where we are probably embracing a slightly more natural aesthetic, are there any ways that we can still, I suppose, inject some glamour into our at-home sort of makeup rituals?
Well, I think like we've been saying, I think if we encapsulate all of the conversation we've had so far, which is, it's not about putting lots on, it's about things like you can have such an impact from really accentuating your brows and really making your lips into a beautiful shape, because, you know, everyone needs a little, you know, we're not models, we need a little bit of, you know, the top lip, or, you know, imperfections, you know, ironing them out, making them more pouty, you know, things like, you know, I've got my lovely hourglass brush here. I've got a...
Wow, why has it got the two ends?
Because that's the blush and that's the contour.
Oh, nice.
So I've got this lovely product by Kiko, which is that lovely new brand, high street brand. It's not very expensive. They've got this dark, which is shade, which is really good for me. So I put that on, and I use contour here. So this is great for this. So, you know, that's not like a makeup thing, that I hope you can't see it too much. I hope that I don't look too Kardashian.
No, it's supernatural. It just makes your cheekbones look razor sharp.
Yeah, so that's that. So it just accentuates them. So that pulls my face in a little bit here, because I've got chubby cheeks. And then I use a nice glossy blusher with this side, and I smile and I put it on the apple of the cheeks here.
Yeah.
And then
you probably top up with a little bit of highlighter.
Brows up with clear mascara. I just use clear mascara. I mean, I think if you've got very, very fine brows, perhaps it's great to have the tinted ones, but you do have to be more careful with the tinted ones.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that was really interesting. Thank you, and full of tips and advice. And I'm glad this is all being recorded so that I didn't have to write any of that down. But thank you, and I think we'll have lots of questions for you at the very end. So next, our brilliant aesthetic doctor and surgeon, Dr. Jacqueline Lewis. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, Jackie.
So lovely to be here, and thank you all for joining us on this lovely sunny evening. Last night I was in the car, and it was 7:30, and people were lying out on the green. But yeah, thanks for being here.
It's the nicest thing. This weather is just the dream right now. So,
anyway,
Jackie,
for you to pick my brains.
Oh, I'm very excited to do just that. You know, as Kay and I have been discussing, you know, more and more of us are spending time online, whether it's Zoom calls, whether it's webinars, in addition to all of the brilliant makeup tips that Kay's given us. From your perspective as an aesthetic doctor, what are the skincare ingredients that we need to be getting into our regimes to keep our skin looking lovely and glowy for the camera?
Well, you know, I had a very long and difficult learning curve, because I didn't look after my skin at all. So if you look at pictures of me from 5 years ago, I actually look younger now, and I've got better skin than before. I had pigment spots, I had wrinkles, I didn't, with aging after the menopause, you lose your bone mass, everything goes south, your skin thins. So I actually spent 3 years doing a master's degree course in skin aging and aesthetic medicine. So it's been a big...
With yourself as your guinea pig.
But anyway, and you know, I didn't know this, but certainly nighttime you use retinoids and then peels to get rid of those fine lines and wrinkles. Young women too should start using a retinoid derivative, because after the age of 25, your collagen and elastin content starts to decrease in your skin. And
that just turns the skin cells over sort of faster.
Yeah, so for large, you know, younger women, large pores, fine lines, retinoids are the P's and E's. And so for older skins, and I know you've been doing lots of peeling while you've been on lockdown. So
Can you see?
Is
that plus the Chanel highlighting fluid?
Beautiful.
And the ring light.
But start using peels, not just to take the top layer off, but to stimulate collagen production. And you can get different strength peels. So for younger skin, the less strong ones, and for more mature skin that can deal with the deeper lines, the stronger peels. So, I mean, you've got great products now that combine both retinoids and peels. So that's
which ones do you love? What would you sort of advise?
You know, there's this company called Skin Better Science, and they've won all sorts of awards.
I'm obsessed with their overnight retinoid.
That's the one. That's the one. So for the younger ones, you use the AHA acid, which is a less strong acid. But for older women, I'd use the one with the glycolic acid. Brilliant. So
yeah, yes, because they have an intense version, don't they?
That's the one for the older women.
That's the difference.
And then for the day, you know, I'm sure you knew this, but I mean, I was a child of the 60s, so I never used SPF except when I was going out into the sun. Now I use it all year round.
Jackie, I think so many people still don't use this. I mean, you know, I have to constantly behave like the SPF police in my household, and I'm like, who hasn't got their SPF on today?
Do you know what? Even my 21-year-old wears it all year round. It's
so important.
Of course, it's been drummed in because I tell them, look at the pictures of me 5 years ago. You do not want the freckles and the pigmentation. And so all year round, factor 30 during the winter, factor 50 if we go out and into the snow, the sun, or on a day like this even, and even indoors. I mean, you know, there's light.
Yeah, everyone's saying it now.
Light coming in through the window.
But not even that, you know, the very damaging blue light that comes from all of our digital devices. I mean, I've got my phone, my laptop here, you've got the TV, you've got your iPad. Like, actually, during lockdown, we probably had so much blue light.
Yes, and, you know, we don't realize that, you know, the blue light between 500 and 570 nanometers, that's coming off the screens, and it's causing aging, and we're spending hours and hours.
It's terrifying. They say that the next generation growing up are all going to have pigmentation sort of from the chin and the neck downwards because they've all been staring at their phones. I mean, whereas we all have it sort of on our noses and our foreheads from excess sunbathing. I mean, that's the effect of technology, and that's what we have to protect our skin against.
So even in the winter indoors, you know, a lighter SPF, I think, is essential.
And which one do you recommend? Because I'm obsessed with the Heliocare 360.
So do you use the SPF 50 Heliocare? This
one? Yeah, it's a slightly tinted one.
You can't see it, but
it's disappeared on your background.
It's disappeared, but it's Heliocare air gel, and you know, you squeeze it and it comes out with a foam, and it smells gorgeous. And I'm absolutely
the smell of Heliocare is sort of transporting.
So that I use when I go out, and then there's another one that does that's SPF 30, a Neostrata one, and then for the winter and indoors, you know, factor 15 or 17, but basically SPF, and you can
SPF every day.
Every day during the day, and of course during the day, if you get something with antioxidants and a serum that will protect against pollution. Yeah. So you can get lovely, you know, Skin Better Science does that lovely Alto Defense Serum. It's got vitamin E and vitamin C in, antioxidants. It's wonderful. And then because that's not inexpensive, Vita C do, or its pH formula do Vita C, and that has got vitamin C, and they're really essential antioxidants to get rid of those free radicals that cause your fibroblasts just to, you know, not function.
Jump off a cliff.
You want to stimulate the collagen production.
Yeah. And the vitamin C is so lovely for the sort of brightening as well. But Jackie, you're one of the many doctors who've embraced the world of virtual, and you've been doing all sorts of sort of brilliant online skin consultations through it. So how does that work?
I can do two types of consultations. If it's just purely skincare, we can do it through Get Harley. But then if someone wants to talk about Botox or fillers or one of the more invasive, or not invasive, but non-surgical treatments, I can do an online consultation with Visionable, and that gives me a longer time to be able to go through all the needs. So you have no idea what the lockdown look has made us.
Well, I was about to say, I'm fascinated. Like, what have people been coming to you about sort of with, in terms of skincare concerns?
The lockdown look is when your Botox has run out and your filler has run out and you really need a top up. And it's when my husband says, why are you looking so glum? And then I know I need a top up. So most people have been saying, you know, when can I book in? When can I book in for their top ups?
Yeah. And you're back to doing all of these procedures now in clinic, aren't you?
Yeah, we started 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so I need to book in my Get Harley Skin consultation with you for all of that. And also for all TBT viewers, we've got a specially priced Get Harley skincare consultation with Dr. Lewis. So I think that should be going up in the chat box or in the Q&A. Yep, I've just seen it go up. So you can have a click on that. And I think there's a lovely sort of gift voucher that goes with it, so you can buy all the brilliant products she's been talking about as well. But I mean, Jackie, in terms of, the sort of online consultations, I mean, I can't be alone in sort of, as you've said, looking at the camera all the time, obsessing over the little lines and the wobbly bits and I suppose despairing. So when we do get back into the clinic, what are all of the treatments that you think are going to be most in demand to help us sort of maintain or at least restore our faces?
So not just the Botox and the fillers, and I only use high hyaluronic acid fillers because of the safety aspect. You know, you can use Hyalase if there's a problem. But I do platelet-rich plasma, microneedling, which is a brilliant way that's not expensive, that you can stimulate collagen. And what's the other thing that's really, really popular?
Are you going to say Profilo?
I was going to say Profilo, not only for the face, but also for the neck.
Everyone is obsessed with Profilo. Will you explain what it is for everyone?
So Profilo is a very special molecular weight hyaluronic acid that just spreads all over underneath the skin. And because hyaluronic acid brings in a whole load of water, you get this beautiful, hydrated, plump look. So you need two lots of injections, 4 weeks apart from each other. And when you have it done on the face, it's like blobs that last for a few hours.
You almost look like tiny little bee stings, I'd almost say, but they do go down, don't they?
Go down. On the neck and décolleté area, they actually last a lot longer. So you don't want to book any events or wear any low cut for about 48 hours when you have Profilo to the neck and the décolleté. But brilliant. And that combined with microneedling and PRP, really good.
Yeah, I've heard it's amazing for sort of almost like the necklace lines that people get here and the sort of vertical sort of in between the boobs sort of lines that you get on the chest as well. I was going to ask you, because your specialism as a surgeon is breasts. So, I mean, what else can we be doing for that area here? Because that's, it's often, exposed to the sun. We still see it on Zoom, I mean.
So here's the thing. I spent the last 5 years concentrating on here, and then I noticed all these wrinkles and lines. And because I started or stopped using the retinol to here, I've got nice pale skin here, and then from here down, it's all sort of freckled and pigmented. So here's the thing: invest in more product, and don't just put it here, but put it all the way down here as well. And
is it fair to say we use the same products on our neck and décolleté as we do on our face? We just bring it down.
You can, but Skin Better Science also does another interfuse type product that is better absorbed down here as well. Okay. So all the things that you can use on your face, use from here down. And the Nefertiti Botox lift is really good for the bands and for these lines. So Botox is really good. Profilo as well. And then you can use all those other treatments, microneedling, topicals. Yeah, just start investing.
And a sun cream.
Send it down there as well, because I only realized maybe 3 years ago, and I was having a chat with my hairdresser, because she's just a little bit younger than me, and we had this conversation about when you wake up in the morning and you see all these wrinkles here, when did that happen? And it just happened quite suddenly. So you young people, start investing and treating from here down as well.
All of those décolleté creams are evidently not a con, as I always thought they were. And what about, I know that you're a huge fan of supplementation as well, because I think, you know, what you put into your body is obviously going to have a really beneficial sort of effect on the skin as well. So what are the things we should be using?
Well, the thing is, you can only put so much on your face. And the thing is, if you don't take something inwards, you can have a great diet, but you know, the way most of us are going towards a more or less meat, or going on a pescatarian type diet, it's really hard to get enough protein in our diets. And I hate those protein shakes and drinks. So I started drinking Skin Aid, which is marine collagen. And it really...
So it's suitable for vegans and vegetarians and everything?
Well, not vegans, because it's marine. It's marine-derived collagen, so fish. So not vegans, but if you're pescatarian, that's okay.
And you can still have it.
But the thing is, I used to poo-poo it, and I didn't believe it until I saw the clinical trials to show that punch biopsies after taking oral collagen actually does show rejuvenation of the skin with more elastin and collagen and a thickened epidermis. I mean, it really is brilliant. So
it's funny, because it's always one of the questions that comes up whenever we do a talk that's skincare related. People are fascinated by collagen supplements, and they want to know, you know, do they work?
So here's the thing, there are collagen supplements and collagen supplements. Most of them taste awful because most of them are marine derived, but Skin Aid, they use, I think it's a passion fruit flavor, so that's quite...
I've taken it, it's quite sweet.
But it's not sugar, it's, I think it's one of those low glycemic index. I don't know, Agostino can tell you more about it, but I take it. But do you know what is really helpful for me, for people who are having surgery? And this is from one of my patients, because with my fat transfer, I used to do multiple liposuction and injection. Now I offer the Regenerous Fat Bank, but that's another story. But comparing the first time my lady had liposuction without taking Skin Aid, and then the next time she did have Skin Aid, she said it was brilliant. The skin bruising settled down so much more quickly. Her skin texture settled down so much more quickly. Her healing was so much better. So the Skin Aid MD program, I would recommend for anyone who is having surgery. And the interesting
thing... That's super interesting, because, you know, I think so many surgeons sort of don't, you know, they sort of go maybe a bit of arnica, maybe some silicone gel, but I think I've not heard many surgeons talk about a holistic approach to sort of getting collagen into the body as well. So that's really interesting.
Well, I've just had back surgery and I'm 3 weeks out, and my scar is brilliant, you know, taking that MD program, and, you know, hardly any bruising, and the swelling.
And you're so right, because it's the downtime, it's the bruising, it's the swelling that people, you know, really are concerned about when they have, you know, from sort of needling or Botox all the way up to surgery. It's that really scares women, I think.
So the nice thing about the MD program is that there are different products for before, around the surgery and after, and just on the day of surgery, you start using a spray that's got arnica and all of the other goodies that will reduce swelling and bruising. So brilliant. And the other thing that, you know, we were talking about vitamin A derivatives and putting it on your face. And
to get the skin cells turnover. With
the stronger retinoid formulations, you can get skin irritation and redness and flakiness and peeling. So Skin Aid has got this Derma Defense product that I'm going to try. I haven't yet, but it's got vitamin A and D in it. So vitamin A, you know, you don't put it on your skin, you ingest it, and it's got all the good effects from within. So that's the next thing I'm going to try.
And didn't you say to me that you had maybe some samples to give away to TBT viewers?
Yes,
good. I didn't get that wrong.
Tina say that she had an offer that
I think you've got 20 samples to give away, and people have to follow you on Instagram and send you a direct message with their name and address. So I think that's gone in the chat now. So expect lots of followers and lots of direct messages.
Yeah, my handle is at Dr Jacqueline Lewis. So yeah,
it's just gone up in the chat, so we've got it. And Jackie, we can't finish talking to you without discussing fat, because I know that's a huge passion of yours as a surgeon.
Oh my goodness.
So like, how's that working to regenerate our skin and make us all sort of glowy for the camera?
Oh, do you know, it's so exciting, because not only can you use the larger fat cells for filling, for the boobs, for the butt, for the face, but if you filter the fat and make them into smaller particles, you can filter them so fine that you just get what we call nanofat, and you can inject that underneath the skin. So it will give you a profiler type effect, but it will also rejuvenate your skin in the long term.
Because it's full of all the growth factors that sort of...
Growth factors, exosomes that will give the signals to your fat cells to just start and keep on rejuvenating your skin.
Look younger and younger with each time. But where are you getting this fat from with your patients?
So mostly, if I do a breast enhancement or reconstruction with fat, and there's some left over, I've had women say, can you just put some in my face? So yeah,
just to perk it up, because I mean, in terms of filler, it lasts for a long time.
That will be with you forever, because not only do we transfer the mature fat cells, but there are stem cells that will keep that colony of fat cells going indefinitely.
Yeah, as long and what happens if you put on weight? Because that's the thing that people always worry about with fat.
So if you think that when you put on weight, the fat cells will either become bigger or there'll be more of them. So for example, studies have shown that in and around the abdomen, if you put on weight, the fat cells will grow bigger, whereas around the thighs and saddlebags, if you put on weight, those fat cells will actually multiply. So I guess it really does depend on where the fat has come from, because it will retain that memory. And so, yes, you will put on, those fat cells will become bigger or multiply if you put on weight.
Wow, well, that's the next thing I need to come and see you for then. I love the concept of getting rid of fat in the areas that you don't want it, and then sort of enhancing everything else with it.
I think that's the best thing ever, because it's all your own.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, in the same way that we're all becoming sort of, all embracing a much more natural aesthetic, maybe when it comes to makeup and, being virtual all the time, then maybe that's what you're going to see a return to in clinic, people using these more natural sort of, their own resources to generate that effect.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. That was really fascinating.
You're welcome.
And we will chat to you a little bit later. And now to our third and final speaker, Zoe Irwin, who you guys have all met before. So Zoe is a celebrity hairdresser, creative director at Frieda, GHD ambassador, Wella Colour ambassador, all sorts. But I suppose what I love about Zoe, sort of all accolades aside, is her genuine passion for hair. And we've worked on many shoots together, and nobody ever has come close to sort of matching Zoe's enthusiasm and sort of level of detail when it comes to it. So really excited to have you here, Zoe. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as someone who's been working in the industry for, I think, about 30 years, which is completely incredible, how have you found that our attitudes towards our hair have shifted as things have become so much more virtual?
I feel that it's been an interesting time for the hairdressing industry, because I think the appreciation for the craft of a hairdresser has definitely kind of got bigger, because there has been a rush to apply things, from the chemist, maybe some colours, that have perhaps gone very wrong. And
we all had to go DIY and then bear the results.
Exactly. And I think what's changing now is that realisation that there needs to be more information out there to guide people, how to put things onto their hair. And I think the biggest thing for me has been the psychological effect of lockdown on people even if they weren't perhaps doing so many Zoom calls, but just waking up every morning and perhaps seeing, grey roots, or their hair perhaps, often when their hair becomes more natural, it will lose the body, the lift, because colouring hair swells. And just kind of how having the ends of your hair perhaps not trimmed, it can feel like it lacks luster. And it's been a very important time to re-look at everything you're using on your hair, because if you're not having your hair cut all of the time, then you need to shift products to nourish the ends. And if you're perhaps not able to go and have your roots colored so much, then you have to look at products that are going to add body. And so I feel that everybody's styling products that they had at home perhaps weren't right at all for this. And that's been the biggest information piece for me. And then also the stress effects of, as you were saying, just either being in lockdown or the lights has a huge effect on people's scalps, and a huge, even if you perhaps don't feel so stressed, the kind of global stress, none of us really know where this is going. And perhaps you might be very concerned about, will I still have as much work in 2 years, or what does that look like? And so that
all has an effect on the hair as well.
Effect on your scalp tension. So there's many levels of things that are dramatically affecting. I think where I'm expecting to see a huge rise is in 3 months' time, when you're looking at future hair growth and things like that.
That's going to be so interesting to track. And I think, what you mentioned earlier about the sort of emotional effects of seeing the greys or seeing the split ends. I mean, Jackie, I'm sure, can agree, having seen, women go through breast cancer, probably chemotherapy, having lost their hair. I think as women, hair holds such fundamental emotional value to us as well. And when it doesn't look right, it may sound sort of superficial, but it really can manifest in that sort of lack of self-esteem. So I think you're completely right. In terms of the hair colorings, I think you and many of your colleagues obviously sort of were able to come back to work recently, and we were all incredibly relieved not to have to do the DIY at-home jobs now. But what are the ways that we can sort of hide the greys and hide the overgrown roots if we do need to sort of be on camera and do it quickly?
There are many amazing powders that really do. I mean, it's interesting. I'm looking at you as I'm speaking to you now, and seeing that actually, because of the lighting, the most of the ring light is quite accentuated around your skin. And so when I look at the top of your hair, it's actually, you can't see that much detail. So I think sometimes we're over worrying about it. We're kind of thinking, gosh, being grey or feeling like your roots are dark will often have a big psychological effect. But the camera, just as Kay saying, like how you light yourself makes a very big difference. It can be faked quite a lot. I mean, for example, I work with Colour Wow because we have it at John Frieda's within the salon, and they have an incredible powder which is called Platinum. And for somebody that has balayage or for highlights, you can paint in an illumination around the front hairline, which I can imagine.
Oh, wow.
It will light a certain part of you. It has extremely reflective qualities. So the powder looks like an amazing eyeshadow, but
it's like a metallic almost.
Yes, it does. I mean, it looks like something you definitely want to put on your eyes. And it has a component within it that will make it stick to the hair. So what I was doing through lockdown, I was doing virtual consultations, mainly with beauty and fashion journalists, and I was teaching them where to paint in the front of the hair, and actually painting just through this area and then maybe a little bit above can really pop the face. It's to do with the shape of the face. And, those kind of things can be quite magical. And I think we're moving to a time when your next appointment in the salon should be for advice on those things. I mean, I do I do blow dry appointments with my clients where I'm teaching them how to curl and lift their hair, and obviously
so that they can sort of do a bit more of it at home. I mean, that's what all of us had to get used to doing. Like, actually, you know, I'd not blow dried my own hair for such a long time, which sounds so grand, but actually it was a really good experience, and having to learn to do it all over again. And actually it's a good thing to, you know, be able to do and not have to rely on other people. That's empowering, and being able to make yourself look a certain way.
And in the way that we're talking about like health and vitality and a glow to the skin, a glow to the hair is the most undervalued, you know, like thickness, and, you know, trying to get your hair as thick and as with body as possible. But the reflecting hair shows everything. Like youthful hair, which is what people strive for, has a certain luminosity. And so, you know, you're working much more with masks, like really totally changing your hair care, you know, to how much you're doing. The idea of being at home more, you know, you can prep in a fabulous way. So layering different hair masks is vital, and that will give you a bouncier blow dry. If your hair color has faded, then really hydrating that hair will mean that when you're under a light, you'll have a reflect, and so the color won't look faded, it can come to life.
So like with an oil or a sort of shine spray or something?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm trying to stay away from some of those, because I feel like they sometimes create density. You know, I'm wanting more lift.
Yeah.
In a way that I was so fascinated to listen to Kay, because, you know, thinking about that, like what's making something pop out and what's making something recede, you know, I believe that a lot of those rules are the same within hair. And so I would fill the hair, you know, the more use of dry shampoo, then, you know, don't forget that if you're seeing me here, you can't see here. So filling all of this in every 4 centimeters from the nape hairline across with dry shampoo, and then all the way through here. And then giving it a massive brush, or then creating width, you know, which is, you know, that's really important. Like how
you're so right, how you shape the hair. Like Kay was talking about shaping the face, you know, you're shaping the hair.
Exactly, how you lift the hair, because otherwise, if you have done all this work on your brows and everything, you still need some balance on your head. Another thing is that a lot of people see, I'm just looking at this picture frame, a lot of people see the top of their head as here, but it's going back way past that to past your crown. It's a real 1960s trick, but lifting all of that can immediately that's why the 60s are everlastingly popular, because it's one of the most flattering periods for hair. And lifting this area can suddenly make your jawline smaller, and it will suddenly, you know, how are you going to pop the cheekbone? You know, talking about emphasizing this is going to be wasted if this is then really hanging down. So
they are all tricks of the eye in a way, aren't they?
Yeah, they're extremely subtle but unbelievably powerful. Like one of the things, I just grabbed a tong, it's not on, but one of the things which is a fantastic thing to do is just, sorry, I'm the same, I can only see myself really tiny, so excuse me, but just to bring this forward here and then come in with a tong and wrap, sorry, just as if it's in it.
So wrapping away from your face.
Wrap at the brow, so you wrap at the brow on an angle, hold the ends because you don't want the bend there, and then I haven't got this on, okay, but that will kick that out, because what you're trying to do is expose the corner of the eye to elevate everything. So you want to elevate this out. So I always blow dry this, actually, I've got a few tricks, but I love to pop this forward. You know, talking about the 80s also had this amazing like shape here. So if you blow this out forward, then that gives you something kind of major, which
you sort of show off that temple, which gives the lift. And actually Jackie will know this as a doctor, but you know, that's the bit that we all start to lose volume in as we age as well. So I think being able to lift there and expose it with the hair must make us all look so youthful.
And then popping, like what's really powerful is taking these sections here and wrapping them forward, which not many people do. So you wrap this one forward like here, and then this forward, and then the rest back, and then you get this amazing lift here, which is extremely flattering on people.
And what tool is that you're using? Is that just like a normal barrel?
So this is the GHD curve, this is soft curl tong, so it's the large barrel. But the thing is about this, it's called smart technology. So within this, there's so many sensors that read the temperature 250 times a second. And the most important thing with hair is obviously hair health. And at the temperature of 185, it means that you are making a movement in hair that's at the right temperature not to drop. So it's warm enough that it will create something that holds. But when you put hair around something that's heated, the hair will suck out the heat. So the barrel would drop temperature. So it's really important what temperature you curl your hair in, you know, thinking about hair health. So it's something that's going to hold well, you know.
And then do you have to use product after that to hold it in place? And what products would you be using?
So I think because I've worked on set for so many years, I'm actually not a fan of hairspray or products afterwards, because I think that when you are under lights, like, I mean, I did a little video earlier of my setup that you saw.
I know, it was amazing. It's on the Instagram, isn't it?
So because the room is getting darker, I've got a light here and lights here. And, you know, just to make it a little bit more even, but the effect of that on your hair, if you've put a lot of hairspray, it can almost go a little bit stale. You know, what also thinking about when we're talking about lighting makes you so hot. I don't know how you feel, but like, you know, if you are
true.
You know, if you're going to be on a house party call with 10 friends and you have 2 glasses of wine and sit with a ring light, you're actually going to be unbelievably hot. So you need to, you know, try to keep yourself cool. That's why I use all the dry shampoos. And also maybe just drop out of shot for a second. I'm just going to show you this. And just grab a brush and brush your hair all the way through.
Always from the underneath?
All the underneath.
Yeah.
And flip up.
Yeah.
And then you're like, whoa, I'm back in shot. Another glass of wine. And that
just popped off to the loo, come back.
That kind of like, you know, I mean, that's if you've got kind of body, or like, for example, looking at Kay's hair, like, you know, having shapes here is kind of fabulous. Like, it really has felt to me, I've done a lot of...
Yeah, Kay's hair is amazing with that top knot.
Well, I'll tell you more about that, because I've had a lockdown thing which is completely opposite, but it's Zoe's time. But I haven't put any heat on my hair once since lockdown. I'm basically put myself on a hair diet. So
oh my God, that's amazing. And does it feel completely sort of different to previously?
Not yet, but I'm hoping.
Zoe will tell you all the masks you need to be using to get it like that.
But yeah, I mean, perhaps like playing with, like, Kay's hair is, you know, beautifully elegant, but it lifts so much. Like, playing with that, you know, perhaps you would never go out with a top knot. You never felt that you were that person, but actually taking the hair right up here, just teasing it slightly, or simply, I mean, what I absolutely love is covering it with a serum, dividing it into twisting each section and doing something that's wonderfully elegant. You know, that can look amazing.
And that's such a nice quick trick as well. If, you know, you haven't had time to even wash your hair, just to get that product in it and sweep it all up, and have the earrings like Kay has as well.
Yeah, earrings, I think the earrings have been very powerful through lockdown, going to much bigger earrings and really showing that off with, you know, it isn't the time to do an elaborate ponytail. You're just not going to see it. Like, think about,
exactly.
And actually pulling all this kind of down, unless you are gorgeous and 22 or what have you, it's not always fabulous, because don't forget that it might work from the profile, but people are really just seeing this. So I agree with everything Kay's saying. Like, what I would do is try a hairstyle out. I mean, what I do is put myself on Zoom before a Zoom call and check out, you know, kind of shapes and things like that. Take a photo of it, you know, because this is all that matters, how we see each other here.
And you're right, because actually we're seeing ourselves in almost very two-dimensional when we are just speaking straight to a camera. And like Kay said, we've actually got, you know, the devices at our fingertips. We can look on our sort of selfie sort of camera, and we can take the photo and we can make those tweaks.
But we can tweak it in a way that we don't need to be as conscious as in real life.
Yes.
You know, you can add, if you don't have like a Colour Wow Illuminizer, there's also some amazing, I use so much eyeshadow in my clients' hair, I really do.
Well, just like an illuminating, like a silver or something.
Yeah, all the time. I use a lot of brown eyeshadow, like in here, to make this colour, because a lot of people have
my stuff.
She's using your Chanel eyeshadows on her hair.
Brown, and you know, because there's parting. The parting's often a problem on camera. You know?
Yeah. I mean, brown, you know, it's different. Like there's a particular Burberry brown eyeshadow that I take on set all the time. It's like incredible.
I do love Burberry makeup.
Yeah. And so think about, you know, things that you kind of have. It's a time to make your hair feel thicker, so you can pad out these areas like with powder. You know, just, there's a lot to be said with taking up the first section of your hair, like here, just before you go on, you know, adding a brush. I mean, I work with Helios from GHD, which has got like, you know, adds 30% more shine. So I would hold Helios here and just hold it there for a second and let it work its magic as I work that through. Put it on.
What's Helios, Zoe?
Helios is like the launch this year for GHD. It's this amazing hairdryer, and it has this kind of speed element to it. So it's very super fast, but it also, like, what matters in hair is the time that it takes from it to go hot to cold. So it's called flash cooling. If you take hair from hot to cold really quickly, it will have a way more powerful set than if hair cools down naturally. So if you were before a Zoom call, you could, you know, grab a round bristle brush, which is always going to give you way more shine and way more control. Hold Helios here, let it run, you know, let it just go down and press it onto cold, set it 2 seconds, and you could totally transform. Blow dry this back, bring this out full. You possibly need 5 movements.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing.
Honestly, you can transform with a can of dry shampoo, quickly going over the surface with a blow, you know, that, and something like an eyeshadow or, you know, like a Colour Wow, totally turn around how you look on camera. It's quite amazing.
And what about if you don't have time to sort of, you know, plug in the hair straighteners, or you don't have a hairdryer to hand, like, you know, suddenly you think the phone call you're about to have is actually a Zoom call. What are the sort of quick things we can do just to make our hair look fantastic quickly?
I honestly really think a really good brush through the hair, whatever, you know, like, is amazing. Like if you know, perhaps if you're textured hair and you can pull it out with something that's much wider, you know, perhaps it's a wide comb, but just elevating it. If your hair is smooth, go upside down, brush it like I showed you, but then go over the top and just smooth that. You know, I mean, it's really funny. I've been in front of the camera and doing somebody, and there's been 2 seconds left, and all the hair looks fuzzy, and you could simply put your hands in a little cup of glass, you know, of water, and you can tame the tiniest bit down in seconds. Like, there are things you can do quite easily. But I think,
what about sort of hair accessories? Because that's always something that you've done amazing things with, like hair bands and grips and.
Yeah. I think the power of accessories over this period has been incredible, because people have been trying to, hide their roots. I love like silk scarves. I'm obsessed with the 70s, and so kind of something that's wrapped around can be amazing. I've got a couple of things here.
You've got a few in your.
Just bought
one I prepared earlier.
Really kind of easy. Like, I mean, this I'm thinking.
That's amazing.
Wine o'clock. You know, but something, and my hair shape's not quite right for it, but something that's like, you know, like through here.
It's, exactly, because it suddenly changes the shape of your face, and all of the volume goes to the back.
you can kind of do something kind of that which could be quite amazing.
Yeah.
You know, anything that adds like a bit of a pop. It depends what time it is.
Yeah, how serious your meeting is, how glitzy you can be.
I mean, but also, you know, in a kind of fun way, I absolutely love like, you know, top knots with like gorgeous bows through them, and, you know, quite kind of oversized things can be amazing.
Oh, you've made some amazing things when we've done shoots together. You once covered a girl's sort of chignon in loads of sort of diamante brooches. Do you remember? Right. She looked like she had this fabulous bird's nest on.
Oh my God, they were all McQueen, weren't they? Can you imagine? Yeah. All Alexander McQueen. It was.
God knows how much money was on her head.
It was heavenly, yeah. But something like this is a really big kind of scarf. You know, a lot of the designers, you know, doing beautiful pieces. So something like this can be amazing as well. So
it's exactly the same as, you know, how Kay was talking about makeup. There's just sort of the one sort of feature to accentuate, or the one accessory that can just really lift everything, and I suppose change your mood as much as it changes your appearance, which I think is really important.
I feel like we're coming into a time where people are becoming much more playful. There's been more pink hair, and, you know, perhaps of people's roots, there's been more kind of different shades. I mean, all sorts of playing with kind of vivid colours. But I think that also with styling, people are definitely wearing bigger earrings. And I've seen so many gorgeous scarves wrapped around the hair that look sensational. So I think that it's a good time to play with. Yeah.
It's because no one can see us from the neck down, basically. So everything has to go on up here.
Yeah. And you can, you know, you can try it on beforehand and see how it kind of goes, but those elements really make a difference, I think. I mean, I really cannot you know, say enough how much shine in hair. So perhaps using something that like a semi-permanent color that washes out, you know, nothing but to add more gloss. And perhaps a lot of people, their highlights have been too brassy, so cooling those down, you know, cooling down your brunette, you know, all those kind of things make a big difference.
Yeah, I think, you know, what all three of you have spoken about is so interesting, because it is that sort of element of experimentation and just switching things up from time to time and having fun with it as well. I mean, regardless of whether on a camera or not, beauty and sort of these daily rituals that we, you know, put ourselves through, they are supposed to be enjoyable, and they're supposed to be self-affirming. And so I think it's exactly sort of spot on what all of you have said. So sadly, that brings us to the end of the webinar, but I can't begin to thank all of our brilliant speakers enough for all of their you know, virtual grooming tips and advice. It's been so fascinating to pick all of your brains, and can't wait to put everything into practice. But yeah, I guess, you know, what we've all been discussing over the past hour, and sort of what's dawned on me, certainly through chatting to you, is how this sort of new virtual world is so different from the one we left behind. But I do think that, you know, as we're embracing new ways of socializing and working and hosting events, as in our case, you know, we're learning to experiment with new mediums, and we're becoming more confident, and we're having fun, and we're experimenting. And I think, you know, that's important. That's going to keep us feeling sort of like we're putting our best faces forward as the world continues to evolve. So thank you for helping us all navigate that so much more smoothly.
Thank you so much for having us, Francesca. It's been a fun evening, and I've learned so much from Zoe and Kay. I'm going to be doing all of this.
No, I've learned so much from both of you too. Yeah.
You've been a perfect little beauty triangle. Like, it's been so seamless. We've got a couple of questions just to go through before we finish. So let me just find these. Right, okay, first question for Kay. How can I conceal blemishes on camera? And is there anything that will hide the marks left behind by old acne scarring?
Again, I think that's a combination. It's a relationship between makeup and lighting. I think if you have pop marks, that's lighting, because you can take away any color, but you can't, it's not makeup isn't polyfiller. Obviously, it's not going to take away any different texture. So that's a lighting thing. But you can get rid of, I think one of the best ways that I find for quick touch-ups is actually mineral powder. I know that sounds strange, but I'm not a fan of mineral powder. I really, really don't the front, very chalky and very, very dense. And it's like that newsreader look, you know, like big thick beige thing. It's just so not my thing. I can't bear it. It's not an insider trend. It's a marketing retail trend. It's a trend in shops, but no makeup artist would go near mineral powder. I'll be honest with you. But what it's great for is it's so thick and so dense and so matte, which is exactly why you wouldn't want it anywhere near here, because it basically ages you 5 years immediately. Yeah,
and falls into every crack probably.
So, but what it's great for is if you just dab it and dab it on spots, because it dries them out. That powder dries them out. You don't need to do two different things, which is put concealer on and put powder on,
and then powder.
Shine, and the concealer gets rid of the colour.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake I always make. I try and use the same concealer under my eyes as I then do on a spot, and it probably just lights it up.
Completely different, which is why makeup artist brands like Bobbi Brown and Laura Mercier, that's why those are the two brands with the two different concealers, because you know as makeup artists that you never ever put the same concealer for a blemish as you do under the eyes, or vice versa. It's a completely different product.
Yeah, you do need the two different things. And any suggestions for the mineral powder? Is there a good one you recommend?
Thick, chalky mineral powder that they've got loads of in all the high streets. You know, the chalky one. It's chalky.
Yeah. Like, if it's chalky, it's going to do the job.
It's going to do the job, exactly.
And maybe, Jackie, you've got some ideas as well on the sort of old acne scarring. Any sort of in-clinic treatments that you would do just to help with that?
Microneedling and PRP, definitely. Yeah. Just
to stimulate the collagen. What's the PRP doing?
It gives that extra boost of growth factors, and it's all natural. It's all your own blood plasma. So what we do is we take blood and then we centrifuge it, and you've got all those goodies in the plasma, growth factors. That with the microneedling, which causes little injuries, will stimulate more collagen to grow. And that's a really inexpensive way, rather than those energy-based devices that can, after several treatments, give you really nice, even skin.
I always love the after effects of microneedling. It's almost like a little bit of sunburn, but everything's so tight and sort of juicy. You feel like a sort of ripe tomato or something.
And then a few weeks later, and it all just looks and feels beautiful.
Noted. We'll be coming to you for that. One for Zoe. What do you recommend to rescue hair that is over-coloured and incredibly dry?
Definitely hair masks. I find that mixing, layering, so something for protein and then something for hydration is incredibly effective. The thing that I would do when people come into the salon, I would do an intense treatment, and the hair will only absorb so much at one time. So if you shampoo your hair and use a mask, then rinse it off, blot your hair dry, and then reapply something over the top. And you can kind of do a super boost mask by doing that kind of 3 times. And if you just really up that within your hair care, I mean, I might do that, say this week I've done that 4 times to really, because, you know, I just realized that I hadn't spent so much time doing it, and you can really boost everything with that. So I would look at something that would strengthen, so something that's more kind of like keratin based, and then something that adds a level of hydration as well. So,
and what do you think of the treatments like the Olaplex, like the ones that are sort of trying to get the keratin sort of back into the skin and into the hair to strengthen it? Would that sort of thing help?
Yeah, I mean, I do see them, you know, to have a huge value. I work with Virtue at John Frieda's and Olaplex, and Virtue has something called Color Kick, which is transformative. I mean, it's unbelievably fantastic, and it's kind of like this gold shimmery powder that goes into the main mask, and that will give you a really good mix of strength and, you know, some hydration. But then often I will layer like something like Olaplex. I actually use Olaplex, then I use a hydration, and then I use Virtue on top. And you can really change your hair, because you don't really want it just to have moisture and flop. You also need it to have firmness and strength.
That's the thing. Some of the very sort of rich and hydrating hair masks are so heavy. I mean, I've got such fine hair that even if I have been over drying and over styling it, it still wouldn't work to put you know, the thickest, heaviest Kerastase mask on it, for example. It probably needs to be that layered approach.
And the biggest thing I think is also, you know, really thinking about, are you having enough protein? I know we've spoken about this earlier, like really thinking about, you know, you need to have often people's hair that becomes, you know, perhaps troubled or sensitized, it's a lack of iron within the diet. So really check your bloods. And then also the other thing that I wanted to say earlier is just spend 5 minutes every evening massaging your scalp, which will stretch the follicles. It stretches the cells within.
Just with your fingers, just like get in there and do it yourself.
And properly move everything.
Wow.
And it will transform the condition of your hair, I promise you. Like,
that's amazing.
Because what it does is it stretches the cells within the follicles, so you can increase your hair growth by like 24%. I mean, there's so many studies on it, but more importantly, it will give your hair the right environment. So push blood into it so that all the hair that's coming out is strengthened, and your you know, it's everything is, I mean, we know how powerful massage is, but that's my massive message of the year is massage every single night.
It's so true, just to get the circulation going to it as well, and probably help you sleep better if you're doing it every night before bed also.
Yeah, absolutely. It does improve your sleep. So yeah.
Thank you, Zoe. Amazing. One more for Jackie. Where is it? Which products do you advise for melasma?
You need something that brightens and depigments. So there's this, melasma is actually not an easy thing to treat, and it's usually to do with hormones. So you need
it comes up at pregnancy often, doesn't it?
Yeah, treat the hormones and then stay out of the sun, and then use lightening and brightening products. So vitamin C, but then you might need to have a program where you start off in the clinic and then you continue at home. So
what with the sort of industrial strength, sort of clinic strength peel, and then the at-home stuff?
Yeah. So it's a long process, and you need to keep on at it, and oftentimes it does come back. So melasma is not an easy one.
Yeah, no, it's something that so many women probably struggle with, though, and again has such an effect on self-esteem. Kay, one more for you. What are the best ways of contouring? What tips do I need to know? You had your lovely double-ended brush.
Yes, I gave you a little how-to earlier. I mean, I think it's important to know where you should be doing it, because I do see a lot online that people have got the contour a little bit in the wrong place, and it's something you have to do really in really, really good light, and it's not something you should do if you're not very good at it. And I think you should always do your makeup in very, very good light. I mean, we've all seen girls on the train where you can see that it's like really, I mean, it's
a bit stripy.
It's better to have no cheekbones than to have really strange brown stripes.
But is that because that's because they've done it in the wrong light, or is it the wrong product or the wrong colour for their skin?
I think they're getting all Kimmy, but they're not getting Kimmy, they're getting scary. It's just, so you've got to do it in good light. You've got to know what you're doing. Sorry, am I being horrible?
No, you're being honest.
You've just got to basically know where your cheekbones should be, and just be really go easy.
And sort of feel for them, I guess, as well.
And when it comes to the nose, you've got to be so super careful, because I only suggest doing the nose if you really know what you're doing, because otherwise all you're doing is going, look at my nose, because look, I really don't like it, and I've got weird shading on it because I can't deal with it, rather than just leaving it alone.
That's so true. How do you choose the best colour for contouring with?
Sorry?
How do you choose the best colour for contouring with? Because there are so many to sort of pick from.
Again, a lot of people use very strange browns, but if you're going to use a powder, it has to be a very sheer powder, and it has to be really, really kind of not very dense, because otherwise you're a really brilliant artist to be able to get that subtly anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the cheek, the one that I was showing you earlier, the Kiku one, wasn't very warm. So you can put the blush on top on the apple to create the warmth. But here, when you see, you're basically replicating a genuine shadow. So you want it to look like a real shadow. My cheekbones are so high and so great that they've caused a shadow. Replicate. So therefore shadows are never bronze, are they? The shadows grey basically, but you have to, that's why you have to be so careful, because having a grey stripe down there is it could look like, you know, November, you know, bonfire.
Yeah. If in doubt, just a nice big brush and just keep buffing it in.
Yes, exactly. Go really carefully. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all of our questions that we had. So before we finish, just a huge thank you to all of you again for being here tonight and sharing all of your wonderful words of wisdom with us. We're all super grateful. And to our fantastic audience, thank you for joining us once again. And, you know, I hope that you found it helpful as well, and that you've been inspired to get back on Zoom and reignite all of those pub quizzes that you probably left back in the beginning of lockdown. If you haven't signed up for our updates, then they're, you know, all on the Beauty Triangle. So that's beautytriangle.com. Register your details and we'll keep you up to date with all of the upcoming events and webinars. And that's about it from us this evening. So thank you again, ladies, for everything, and hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. See you again soon.